is our dilemma. The finished corner of our vinyl siding of the house got demolished by a weed whacker. So if we didn't have bad luck, we wouldn't have any luck at all. My mom finally hires a dependable landscaper, and his employee kind of got a little wild with the weed whacker. If something like this happens to you, you confront the problem, you address it, and we settled. He said he'd pay for it, and that's all good. Okay, for this project, there's two major components, critical components to finish this project. One is the cuts, cutting the material to fit. Two is installing it after it's all cut. So there's 10 ways to skin a cat, and I usually pick the most efficient way. But that said, some people don't have the same tools as other people. So you can do all this with hand tools if you need to, and I'll show you that. But I'm going to use a couple power tools, and then when it comes to install, you got to go into the box with the goofy tools, hook tools and stuff like that. Little bar, pry bar, screwdriver always. And this stuff's not, steel, so you can cut it with scissors, shears, even regular good old-fashioned scissors. When installing it, you could use like a knife like that to get behind there and install. All right, 74 3/4, and like the old saying says, you do want to measure twice, cut once, measure 3 times, and cut once. Because you know what? You only have one piece of material that you want to buy. So the little word to the wise, in between sitting up, because this is the one thing I'm not good at. I'm a carpenter by trade, but I'm not a YouTuber by trade. So in between sitting up the shot, I forgot the number. So I had to go back and remeasure it. What really needs to, a good word of advice is always have like a little notepad for you, with you, so you can jot down your measurements. And don't ever be embarrassed to remeasure something, thinking that whoever you're working with thinks you're stupid. Don't ever worry about that. Your cut is more important than what anybody thinks about you, and your work is more important. Because you know what? That guy is the same guy that'll think he's hotshot and go cut something and be wrong. And say, go get another one out of the pile. No, there's not another one out of the pile. There's one piece of material, and you gotta cut right. Make sure it's right. It doesn't matter if it's a 2x4 or a high-end piece of mahogany. Make sure your cut's right. Earlier, there's 10 ways to skin a cat, and there's 10 tools for the job. These two tools are virtually the same tool, both squares, and one is a speed square that fits in your pouch nice, but honestly this square does virtually the same exact stuff this does and a little bit more. So you can adjust this square to, where you can mark 3/4 inch marks and zip them down. This is a little bit more old school combination square versus speed square. I like this one to carry and back, and when you use the square, I prefer using the pencil over anything else, because you know why? If that marks in a bad spot, you erase it with your finger, get a little piece of soap and water and Windex or whatever. It's not permanent. Like if you put it down there with a Sharpie, you got problems. Okay, like I said, we have a couple critical moves on this job. We measured it 3-4 times. How many times you need to measure? Just make sure it's right, especially when you got one piece of material. We marked it out, measured it, marked it out with a pencil, nice clear mark. And now the third part of the job, third part of this is now the cutting part of it. We need to cut this. We're going to cut the mark, that's the height, and we're going to cut this flange off. this nailing flange, because we're going to go right on top of the other one. Cut the nailing flange and snap it in. And that's where it becomes a little bit tedious and tricky. But like I said, there's 10 ways to skin a cat, and there's 10 ways to cut this. We got a grinder, which I'm going to use. It's quick. No guard on it, so be careful. I prefer to. I've been using grinders with no guards for my whole career. I think they get in your way. It's a tool. It's dangerous, and you respect all tools you use. Any saws you use, any power tools you use, you have to respect them. Or if you don't have that, like homeowners, you could just use a regular old hacksaw. A hacksaw or a fine tooth cut, like pull saws. They work. You know, a lot of hand saws with a fine tooth on them would work. We're going to cut the flanges off with the razor blades. I don't have the razor blade I would prefer right now, but we're going to give it a go. And this is me trying to set up a shot. Ridiculous. Okay, here we go. There we go. I'm saying I don't want to miss that. I'm stupid. Seriously. I took our piece and test fit it. So, see if it fit. Nice. Test it out. Up there, look down there, if it's nice. Just little tips you can do that before you put anything away. Okay, ready. I want to say something too. When you're working, when you start to work, you should only take out the tool. Have yourself a nice little work area. I set myself up a bench, a nice little foldable bench. You know, I don't need anything more than that to do this corner. So, set yourself up a nice clean work area. That's safe. That's for safety and more efficient work environment. Don't be like me. Like I forgot this myself. So when I started to make my cuts on the flange, this was in my knife. Now come on, I should know better than that, right? Well, sometimes you just are like on robot mode. I should switch it to a nice clean blade like that. Would have worked. But when I started digging in my toolbox, I found one of these, which is called a hook blade. Now I wouldn't go out and buy one of these just for a project like this, but since I had one laying around, I put that in my knife and it worked. Excellent.